welcome to the Book Fair podcast. My name is Anthony, and this week, the battle against book bans is off to a fast start in 2025. We are going to bring you the good news and the bad. And Fort Worth Independent School District is investigating a substitute teacher's post inviting ICE into the school. Beginning with the news of Fort Worth Independent School District investigating a substitute teacher's media post. As the current presidential administration has started establishing policies and goals for 2025, including the self-proclaimed largest mass deportation of undocumented immigrants in U.S. history, we are already seeing the negative effects of this rhetoric. As the largest office in the country platforms dehumanizing language about immigrants, people with prejudice feel emboldened to openly share harmful opinions publicly. Bringing us to this post from a substitute teacher in Fort Worth ISD, reading, quote, "Y'all should come to Fort Worth, Texas to Northside High School. I have many students who don't even speak English, and they are in 10th to 11th grade. They have to communicate through their iPhone translator with me. The @USED.gov should totally overhaul our school system in Texas." End quote. This post sparks concerns along with another recent headline, ICE removes protections at sensitive locations, sparking concerns in migrant communities. Last week, Acting Department of Homeland Security Secretary Benjamin Huffman issued 2 new ICE directives removing protections on sensitive areas, namely in and near places of worship, schools, daycares, college campuses, churches, playgrounds, recreation centers, school bus stops, homeless and domestic violence shelters, food banks, funerals, and weddings. The very idea of ICE agents targeting schools should concern everyone. Let me break it down like this. A supervillain trying to flush someone out might target children, luring their parents out to find them. This initiative to deport undocumented immigrants runs into an issue because being undocumented implies that there are no records of where they are. However, public schools are open for enrollment to all children of school age in a community regardless of citizenship. If ICE detains children who are undocumented, the only way the parents could reunite with them is by turning themselves in to ICE agents. These protections existed for a reason. It is inhumane to target children and families in places they expect to be safe from harm. For schools and domestic abuse shelters, it is especially disgusting to see these protections lifted. Coming up next, how the battle of book bans is playing out in North Texas. In 2022, the Grapeville-Colleyville ISD School Board gave the power to block books from being put on shelves in the first place to the Board of Trustees, overriding decisions made by librarians trained with degrees in library sciences. Donna Rayburn, a librarian for over 20 years, said she felt like she was no longer valued, saying, quote, "We as professionals know our community and the expectations, and that's what we learned in library school." End quote. Advocates make their opinions on the policy known through social media, lashing out against librarians like Rayburn online, calling her a groomer on public community pages. As the policy change was publicly debated, Donna Rayburn retired in 2023. During this time, Grapevine was not alone in a battle against the freedom to read. The American Library Association tracked 4,240 titles challenged nationally in 2023. The ALA says nearly half the books challenged represent racial minorities and members of the LGBTQ+ community. Rayburn commented on the importance of these diverse voices, saying, quote, "These books help individuals understand themselves and how to cope," end quote. Donna Rayburn's story is not unique, as teachers and librarians are being targeted by pro-censorship groups. Last Tuesday, January 21st, the new session in the Texas legislature began with bills already targeting school libraries. House Bill 183 gives the State Board of Education full power to review and ban any book deemed inappropriate statewide. As of January 30th, House Bill 183 has only been filed and has not yet been introduced to the floor for debate. Finishing headlines on positive news, there are freedom to read policies being formulated. Here are some stories of policies being introduced to protect the freedom to read, beginning with Governor Phil Murphy from New Jersey, who signed the Freedom to Read Act last month, setting standards for removing books from public schools and libraries. The most important aspect of this bill is protecting librarians from lawsuits and criminal charges. The Freedom to Read Act requires school boards to create standards for book reviews and removal. States like Texas allow board members to make decisions of removal. However, New Jersey will require a review board made up of third-party individuals on a case-by-case basis. This may sound costly, however, review boards help remove the personal bias of the school boards or directors. Republican State Senator Michael Testa argues that librarians, teachers, or other people who make obscene material available to students should not be granted immunity from legal action. Thankfully, the state legislature and Governor Phil Murphy disagree. Connecticut has also introduced a similar law. Senate Bill 523 would offer legal protections for librarians. The bill reads, quote, to protect state residents by prohibiting public and school libraries from censoring books and providing librarians and other library staff members with legal protections, including immunity from criminal and civil liability for carrying out work-related duties in accordance with state law, end quote. This bill was introduced by Senators Bob Duff of the 25th District and Cece Mayer of the 26th District. The bill, titled the Don't Ban Library Books Act, has of course been met with backlash from pro-censorship groups. State Capitol Police are investigating a voicemail left for Bob Duff criticizing his support for the bill. The voicemail is reportedly expletive-filled and threatening. Bob Duff called the response, quote, absolutely outrageous, going on to say, quote, opponents of this bill have called my office screaming and cursing at me and my staff based on misinformation. And I haven't even gone through all the comments online, end quote. Hopefully, the Don't Ban Library Books Act goes on to pass in Connecticut in the future. I will keep you updated if it moves on. Coming up next, some new releases. But first, if you appreciate the work being done on the Book Fair podcast, you can help out the podcast in a number of ways. Firstly, you can leave a review or a like or a comment anywhere where you are currently listening, be that Spotify, YouTube, or iTunes, or even on Amazon Music or Audible. Secondly, you can follow the podcast on Blue Sky at BookFairPod. This is where I will post new episodes as well as any materials I come across that I find interesting or important enough to share. Lastly, check out patreon.com/thebookfair. This is where you will find the episodes posted as soon as they are ready, as well as any materials relevant to the podcast episode that may not get shared on Blue Sky. Now, on with new releases. Beginning with Bridget Vanderpuff and the Baked Escape by Martin Stweart and illustrated by David Habben. Having grown up in the orphanage for errant childs, brilliant 9-year-old inventor Bridget Baxter has forever been the foil of the institution's ludicrously villainous headmistress, Miss Acrid. Bridget survives with the help of her best friend Tom and her favorite classic books. After Miss Acrid arranges for all 151 orphans, sans Bridget, to be adopted, Bridget is left bereft. Until kind-hearted baker Ernest Vanderpuff arrives, compelled by a dream to adopt Bridget. Mr. Vanderpuff whisks her away to nearby Belle-on-Sea, where she discovers happiness and feasts upon incredible pastries. In Mr. Vanderpuff's shop, she stumbles upon a locked and secret door, manifested by his deep, secret loss, and vows to open it. Additionally, Bridget, who is accustomed to quickly picking up skills, is confounded by her guardian's efforts to teach her how to bake. Bridget's creative problem-solving delivers consistent laugh-out-loud surprises, and plentiful, clean-lined illustrations by Habben highlight goofy details such as Miss Acrid's steam train roller skates and salmon-shaped sword. Bridget has pale skin and red hair. Supporting characters are depicted with varying skin tones. This book is recommended for ages 8 to 12. Next up, The Doomsday Vault. Everwhen School of Time Travel and Other Odd Sciences, Number 1, by Thomas Wheeler. After 12-year-old Herbert George Bertie Wells, who lives in 1878 London, accidentally creates a tiny black hole in his bedroom while working on a science experiment, he's awarded a scholarship to the century-spanning institution of Everwhen School of Time Travel and Other Odd Sciences. Other new students include 12-year-old chemistry whiz Zoe Fuentes from 2025 Queens, whose brilliant ideas sometimes outrun her common sense, and 12-year-old inventor Amelia Millie da Vinci from 1471 Italy, who's sick of being overshadowed by her perfect older brother Leonardo. The trio contend with all manner of otherworldly oddities, scientific shenanigans, and extraordinary experiments as they acclimate to the school's unique curriculum and quirky inhabitants. But when they discover sinister plots involving a vindictive ghost, a missing headmaster, a temporal paradox, and the dreaded Doomsday Vault, they must save Everwhen and time as they know it from destruction. This frenetic and fanciful series opener by Wheeler takes liberties with historical figures and events, often sacrificing logic for tongue-in-cheek humor. Via alternating perspectives, the intersectionally diverse protagonists face and embrace the chaos throughout their wildly inventive adventure. This book is recommended for ages 8 to 12. Next, I Am Not Jessica Chen by Anne Liang. A Chinese-American high school senior who wants to be more like her perfect, popular cousin gets more than she wished for in this haunting speculative novel by Liang. Jenna Chen has been rejected from Harvard, an event that not only disappoints her immigrant parents, but once again puts her in the shadow of her Harvard-bound cousin, Jessica. Tired of feeling inferior, Jenna wishes upon a shooting star. I wish I was Jessica Chen. And suddenly finds herself trapped in Jessica's body. Jenna finally gets a taste of what it's like to live Jessica's life, but all is not as it seems. Jessica's journal reveals her true feelings and deep secrets of her own, and after receiving cryptic messages, Jenna learns that Jessica might not be as beloved as she thinks. Amid these revelations, Jenna contends with feelings for her childhood friend and crush until a larger problem surfaces. Jenna's memories of her old life are fading. Via vivid prose, Liang grapples with identity, desire, and issues surrounding self-worth, immigrant parents' expectations, and class divides. This book is recommended for ages 13 and up. And finally, On the Wings of La Noche by Vanessa L. Torres. 17-year-old Estrella Noche Villanueva has been doing her solemn duty as lechuza for 4 years. At night, she shapeshifts into an owl and shepherds the souls of the dead into the beyond. Her already emotionally difficult job becomes impossible when her beloved girlfriend Dante Fuentes dies at 17. Rather than ushering her off this temporal plane, Noche leaves Dante's spirit to dwell on Earth, visiting her every night. For a while, it's just like old times, until Dante begins acting strange and forgetful, and Noche starts falling for Jax Vang, the new boy at school. The situation soon turns untenable. Dante's odd behavior makes it difficult to keep their relationship and her spirit alive. Jax's own secrets prevent him from getting too close to others, and mysterious ravens start following Noche. For everyone to move on and move forward, Noche must release Dante's spirit, but can she let her go? This tearjerker by Torres is exceptional in its meditation on grief, healing, and the pain of moving on. Its poignant and in-depth portrayal of teenage love is sure to win readers' hearts. Characters are intersectionally diverse, and this book is recommended for ages 12 and up. This will conclude another episode of the Book Fair podcast. Next week, we will have an interview with Sasha Payton Smith, author of The Rose Bargain. Thank you so much for listening, and as always, I'll talk at you next time.